Hello peasants! Welcome back to my channel. So for this video, I have decided to revisit some of my favorite mean girl, bully, middle grade / young adult books that were such a thing, I feel like, back in the day, and I kind of want to know why. Like, I don't know why these were so popular and why there were so many different versions of this same sort of like trope carried out in like the mid to late 2000s, but these were definitely books that I read in my formative years. These were people that I aspired to be for some ungodly reason, and I thought it would just be a really fun time to revisit some of these, mostly for fun and nostalgia, but also to kind of see if these books are problematic, how they hold up. Is there a lot of girl hate? Is there no girl hate? Like, what are these? I don't know. Except for a good time. That's what I do know. The books that I'm going to be reading for this video are as follows. Private by Bryan. This was sort of what inspired this video. I kind of remembered how wild the series was. I believe there was like a murder at this sort of private school setting. These were more of like the sophisticated stories, I feel like. Next up, another popular choice is Pretty Little Liars by Sarah Shepard. I read almost all of these books back in the day, even when I was probably a little bit too old to be reading these books. They're just fun, you know? We love murder and intrigue and double-crossing goodness. Also, I have Gossip Girl by Cecily von Ziegesar. Classic. There's, again, a television show based on this, so who doesn't love Gossip Girl, right? And then I have, obviously, The Clique by Lisi Harrison. I mean, the OG. Like, I remember reading this in 3rd grade, which was definitely too young to be reading this, but like so fun, so zesty. And then this last book I literally could not find a physical copy of. I tried my best to buy it, but they sent me another copy of The Clique. Goddamn Amazon. And it's the A-List, which I don't know if you guys know this series, but this one's a little bit different than these ones in that it is set on the West Coast, and it's about kind of like Hollywood elite. Definitely was too young to be reading those, but I did anyway. So those are the books that I'm going to be reading in this video and giving my thoughts, letting you know how they've held up over time. Oh, it's gonna be a good time. I'm more than excited to get into these, so let's do it. So after a series of rather unfortunate events, I'm sick, and I actually finished Private already, but the footage audio is fucking terrible. So I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you guys how I felt about this book. Did it live up to my remembrance of it? And I'll kind of probably splice in some of the clips that I had when I vlogged this, because I vlogged too much for Private. So how to describe this? It's about this girl named Reed Brennan who ends up getting into this elite private school. It's a boarding school in Connecticut. She's from Pennsylvania, went to public school previously, and she's very much a not like other girls kind of girl. She talks about how she's never had any female friends before, which is like such a red flag. But anyway, she ends up going to Billings Academy. Wait, actually it's called Easton, but the dorm that she wants to get into is Billings. Anyway, she ends up getting into Easton Academy, and when she's there, she is in her dorm room with her super fucking annoying roommate. She looks out the window and she sees 4 beautiful women in a dorm across the quad or whatever the fuck. I'm not entirely sure how these buildings are situated, but like semantics, right? So Reed sees them and she's like, who are those girls? Like, what building is this? She finds out it's Billings, which is the dorm for upperclassmen women, and it is only the most elite girls. They end up getting into Ivy League schools, and they're the captains of the soccer team, and they're just all very cool. And Reed is just a sophomore, but she wants to be friends with them. Even though she's never had female friends before, she's gonna just risk it all so she can finally be popular. And I think that's really where the story is the best. Like, the fact that Reed is so hell-bent on becoming a part of this gang of girls, even though she's not old enough really to hang out with them. I mean, you can obviously have friends that are older than you, but like, I mean, in a dorm setting, like, she can't live in the upperclassmen dorm. Just the desperate feeling that you get at the beginning of the book carries on through the book and keeps it from being entirely boring, because to be honest, this book wasn't exactly exciting. The day-to-day happenings of this boarding school were fucking boring, but seeing how much Reed was willing to do to become a part of this girl gang was pretty cool, I guess. I will say there were like some problematic elements, quite a few problematic elements. There are a couple of slurs used in here that I wasn't a big fan of. They were questioned, which I thought was surprising given that this book was written in 2006, but it still wasn't great. And then the romantic relationship, if we're even gonna call it that. Reed ends up getting hit by a football in, you know, the beginning of this book, and it's very fucking stupid. She ends up falling for the bad boy. His name is Tom. Thomas. The girls are telling him like, stay away from him, he's a bad boy. She doesn't listen. He sells drugs and he's an alcoholic and he treats her like garbage. So we don't stand Thomas, and I'm gonna insert right now a couple of clips of things that he says. I can't believe you'd choose them over me. You disappoint me. I just don't want to see you get hurt. It just seems all sort of backhanded and abusive. And like, yeah, sure, the Billings girls are shitty, but it's Reed's decision whether or not she like wants to hang out with the Billings girls. I really wish Thomas would just go away because this sex scene is not described well. His kiss was urgent, almost violent, and I knew for sure what he wanted, why I was there. Essentially, Thomas invites Reed back to his dorm and kind of throws her on the bed and is like, you know I love you, right? I mean, he doesn't coerce her into sex, she goes willingly, but it does not seem romantic or sexy or anything like that. Afterwards, she's like, it was done, my virginity officially gone, given away. I don't know how long she's known this dude. Have they been texting for like 2 weeks? And then she's like, you know what? Let's get it on. I'm 15, but let's do it. That's the thing, she's 15 and he's a senior, so. Reed, come on, you're not mad. You're not, you love me, right? If you love me, you have to love everything about me. You're not breaking up with me over this. You can't leave me, you love me. She's 15, pal, and you're a drug dealer. She doesn't fucking love you. As you can tell, he's kind of an abuser, so didn't love that. And it's kind of unclear at the end of the book whether or not they're going to try to resolve the relationship. Like, they end up breaking up and Thomas disappears out of fucking nowhere. So you know, I'm not really sure about their romantic relationship. So those are like the most problematic elements of the book. And then obviously there's like bullying, I guess you could say. The ringleader of the Billings girls, her name is Noelle, and she kind of puts Reed through some shit. Like, she kind of hazes her a little bit and says like, hey, if you want to be one of us, you have to steal a test from this professor's office, or you have to spike this professor's drink with alcohol. And while I did find that like shitty, I mean, neither of those seem particularly high stakes. That sounds bad, but I mean, like, I remember this being just so scandalous back in the day, but upon reread I was like, this seems like high school girl antics, like stupid shit. And I do like that Reed kind of fights back against some of that. Like, the Billings girls tell her, like I said, to spike the drink of her professor, and she's like, I'm not fucking doing that. I don't know. I like that she isn't just like a doormat, essentially, so that was nice. And then I loved the fucking ending of this. I mean, she ends up, I'm gonna spoil it for you, she ends up getting an invitation to Billings even though she's an underclassman. And I say invitation, she shows up to her dorm one day and none of her shit is in her room. And then she ends up getting called to Billings' house and she walks in and there's like a bunch of girls with like black candles and they're gonna initiate her into Billings' house. So kind of scandalous. I like the whole like cliffhanger element. It makes it a little bit more exciting. So did I like this? Yes, I gave it 3 stars. It probably deserved 2, but the ending really got me. I don't think this is going to be the best book of the 5 that I'm going to read for this, but it wasn't terrible. And I think the takeaway from this is that while it's stupid, it is fun, and I don't think that anyone is going to try to emulate this behavior. And I also, like I said, like that Reed was willing to fight back. I think that was really a good takeaway, you know? You don't have to put up with people's bullshit. And in fact, your friends might like you more if you kind of, you know, don't just listen to everything they say. I don't really know what I'm trying to say, but I liked this and it was fun and I'm ready to read some more. So like I said, I'm sick. So what I think I'm gonna try to do, I am at home, it's 1 o'clock. I think I'm going to try to read the rest of these 4 books today. Ambitious, perhaps, but they're also like only 250 pages max. So I think I can do it. I think I could do this video all in one day. The next book I'm gonna start with is Gossip Girl. I'm just feeling those East Coast vibes still. I think it's gonna be a good time. Sorry you have to see me like this for the entire day, but you know, we're getting through it. XOXO. Okay, so I am 100 pages into Gossip Girl and I feel like I've read some of these books, or at least I've read some of the sequels. I know I read the spin-off series back in the day, the Carlyles or whatever, and the It Girl spin-off with like Jenny Humphrey, but I don't really remember the plot of the first book. And I will say I was kind of thinking back to the TV show when I was reading this and thinking of the differences. I will say that the book itself is much more realistic. I think this is supposed to be an inside look into, you know, Manhattan's elite. In the show, there's just this level of like unbelievability. Like, how could people's parents behave like this? How are they letting teenagers behave like this? Let me get into some of the differences. So in the TV show, I think it's the pilot or maybe even the second episode, there's this kiss on the lips party that they put together. And in the book, there is a kiss on the lips party, but it is done for fundraising, which makes sense because they're in high school and like charitable stuff looks good on college resumes. Also in here, it talks about how Blair like studies for the SATs and volunteers and like has her life together, which we don't really see so much in the TV show. We're led to believe she's got her shit together, but we don't actually see that happen for quite a while. I think there's one episode of her trying to do well on the SATs, but that's about it. And in here, like from day one, you know that they're actually high school students. And then Serena as well, I think, is a little bit different from her persona on the television show. Like, she's that effortlessly cool girl, but there's this element of, but I'm not that smart, I don't know how I'm going to get into college, and I definitely think that plays a big part in her insecurities. I think that's the most interesting thing about this book, is the fact that it is more realistic than I thought, and also that both of the main characters, Serena and Blair, are very insecure, and they don't hate each other in a girl hate sort of way, in my opinion. It comes from a place of just deep insecurity, and maybe that's where all girl hate comes from, I don't know, but I actually sympathize with both of them. And you know, Serena might not be jealous of Blair, but she has her own shit to deal with, and Blair is jealous of Serena because she has, you know, perceived inadequacies. I'm kind of rambling, but am liking this so far. I will say the writing isn't that great. It's accessible, but it's taking me longer than I thought it would to read through it, just because of the way that it's written. The first couple of chapters are just very cut and dry, and some of the phrasing's a little awkward, so it's been not like fun in terms of like the actual reading experience, if that makes sense. The writing's not great, but I think that's pretty much it. That's all my commentary so far. Okay, so I finished Gossip Girl, and it ended up being just like the television show. There's that like creepy scene with Chuck and Jenny at the end, and Serena and Dan come to her rescue. But let's kind of, I guess, wrap up my thoughts. Like I said, I think this is a more realistic portrayal than the television show. I think that otherwise everything is pretty damn similar. I will say, in terms of like problematic content in this book, most of it is fatphobic commentary and just comments in general. That seems to be the only insult that people tend to give. It's like, oh, she's so fat, or oh, she's gonna not be able to fit into her dress, as if that's the worst fucking thing that could ever happen to you. That I didn't enjoy, and it was very prevalent and frequent in this book, which I don't know, I really didn't appreciate that. Is to kind of be expected for the early 2000s, when being like stick skinny was, you know, the ideal. Now it's skinny waist, big ass. Anyway, didn't love that commentary, but overall this was okay. I think I actually liked Private more than this, mostly just because I think the TV show for this is so much more entertaining than the book is, but I'm not upset about having read it. It's just, it's whatever. It's like, meh. I think the next thing that I'm going to read is going to be The Clique. This is going to be super easy to get through, super fun. I'm hoping, I just remember really liking the in and out lists that Massey makes. So, new book, new filming location. I just finished The Clique by Lisi Harrison. This is exactly as I remembered it, so I didn't feel the need to update you guys as I read, but I figured I could give my thoughts and like, I don't know, the plot of this book and my feelings about it. The first thing that I noticed when reading this is that the writing was worlds better than both Gossip Girl and the Private series. I was shocked because this is written for a much younger age demographic. The girls in this book are in 7th grade, so I figured it would be very childish writing, but it was actually like very easy to get through. I wouldn't call it sophisticated writing by any standards, but it definitely wasn't anything that I was like struggling to read because it was poorly put together or there were too many like reused phrases. It was a good read. The book itself is about this group of girls. There's 4 of them. The ringleader's name is Massey, and they go to this like private school in upstate New York. Very rich, very wealthy, very privileged. And this new girl comes to town named Claire. She ends up living in Massey's guest house because their dads are friends. Claire is just a typical girl from Florida, just very normal, like middle class, and she doesn't know how to fit into this like upper crust society, I guess you could say. Doesn't wear designer clothes, and that sort of creates this alienation, right? So like Massey doesn't want her friend group to be disturbed. She likes having tight control over her friend group. So it's kind of about the power struggle. Claire desperately wants to make friends, desperately wants to get into this friend group, sort of, I guess, like Reed in the Private series. But in this series, it's a little bit more obviously juvenile, and there is less hazing involved because Claire isn't wanting to like stoop to the level or like impress Massey in any way, really. I mean, there's times when she wants to dress as cute as the other girls and things like that, but it never felt like she was giving up her morals. I don't know. The whole book, I guess, is just sort of a lesson on popularity and on how you should be yourself and like make friends that actually care about you and like you, which I thought was a pretty good lesson towards the youth. So this isn't that bad. I really expected this to be a lot more problematic than it was. The only real content warning I would give is the egregious fat phobia and like diet culture in this. Like eating a salad and a Diet Coke for lunch is not normal for 7th graders. I did not like that inclusion. I didn't think that was necessary. And one of the characters, her whole personality seems to be that she's the fat friend and that she needs to be constantly dieting, which I did not appreciate. Other than that though, I didn't see a ton of super problematic behavior. It just was like girls being girls, stupid girls and rude girls, but like, you know, it was fun. There wasn't any like straightforward girl hate. It was more like power struggles. I don't know how else to describe this book. I think if you've read it, you know what it is, and also if you've watched the movie, it's just like the book. I didn't remember them being identical, so that's that on the Clique. I think this has been my favorite read so far, but I'm feeling a little bit more inclined to read something spooky, so I think I'm gonna start in on Pretty Little Liars by Sarah Shepard. I wish I could have gotten the original cover, but I like couldn't find one on Amazon. I loved the series, I loved this TV show, so I'm really excited to get into this. I think I'm probably going to wait to read the next 2 books till tomorrow because I want to have fresh eyes and like fresh zest and personality to bring to this. Hope you're ready. Okay, I am 65% done with Pretty Little Liars, and I have thoughts and feelings, and I'm also still sick, which I'm sure you can hear, and you can also tell because I'm wearing this stupid fucking t-shirt. I'm not gonna have much more time to read this today, which is sort of tragic because I'm going to a music festival, but I just thought I'd let you know how I'm feeling about this so far because it's not great. I will say, in terms of storytelling and atmosphere and actual writing itself, this book is even better than the 3 books that I read previously, which I think is good. I also, spoiler, started the A-list, and that one's even better writing-wise than this one. So it seems like we're going in order of like worst written to best written, which I'm not upset about, but my issue is that what is with all these authors fat shaming left and fucking right? I am so sick of it. Like, I thought I would just do like, you know, a casual note at the end for the amount of fat phobia in these books, but it is like really getting to me. And I'm not even someone who feels like they're super affected by diet culture, but I'm just like, I can't believe it's in every single book, like every book. And obviously these are targeted towards, I don't even know what specific audience, like teen girls clearly. And it's like, I want to make an excuse for them because they're not supposed to be this like sophisticated literature that is supposed to be like uplifting women, but at the same time it makes me think like what other books written during this time period were targeted towards, you know, teen girls that weren't about like bullying and like murder and intrigue that were also fatphobic. Like, I'm just my mind. If you didn't know, one of the main characters, Hannah, who in the book doesn't look like this, but Hannah she has an eating disorder. She has super disordered eating. She also shoplifts, and I guess I like that you can tell she's struggling with an eating disorder. At least she's not like thinking her habits are healthy, but people teased her for being fat, and it like shamed her into developing an eating disorder. I guess I should probably tell you what this is before I like just go off on a fucking rant about the content in here. But obviously this book is about 4 girls who used to be friends in 7th grade with this girl named Allison De Laurentiis, and Allison kind of kept dirt on each individual girl. Not all of the girls knew each other's secrets. Allison knew each individual girl's secret, and she kind of like lorded them over each individual girl. And Allison goes missing, I think like the last day of summer of 7th grade or something, and this book picks up, I think, sophomore year of high school for these girls. It's about these notes that they're getting from someone labeled A, and they're like, only Allison would know my secrets, why am I being blackmailed? It's obviously intriguing, and I'm sure most people know what the story's about because there's a TV show, but that's sort of the gist of it. And like, the story itself is like pretty interesting. I like that each of the girls kind of have their own insecurities and their own hang-up, but it is sad that they were so manipulated by a girl in 7th grade that they have taken what has happened to them and have internalized it and turned it into their own trauma. Allison ruthlessly teased Hannah for being fat, and so Hannah decided to be skinny. She teased Emily for having a crush on her, and now Emily feels like she has to kind of keep her feelings to herself, even though they're completely normal feelings. Like, liking women is not abnormal. It's intriguing, but it's also upsetting. And I mean, I think it's realistic to an extent because I think we all are kind of affected by the relationships we had in our formative years. I know I was, but it's hard to read about, and also some of the behaviors of the girls are just like wild to me. Like Spencer, her insecurity with boys and having to like try to get with her sister's boyfriend, and Arya getting with her teacher. Like, all of these girls act so much older than their age. I mean, I remember having crushes on teachers in high school, but like I would never have tried to make out with my teacher or like make him jealous. Like, the realism is not really there with this. It's entertaining for sure, it's fun, and I guess I could think of this as just mindless, but like I said, since it is at its heart targeted towards teens, it's hard to just brush it off as like, who cares? Which is weird because I was able to do it with the Clique, because the Clique seemed a little bit more harmless. So yeah, I'm not hating this. I have an hour of the audiobook left, technically 3 hours, but I listen on 3 times speed, and I know what's gonna happen, so like I don't know. Okay, so as you can tell, I am about to head to the music festival, but I just thought I would tell you guys how I felt about the end of Pretty Little Liars, because I just finished it. I didn't love it. I will say, like I said, the plot is intriguing enough. It wasn't a terrible book, but I think all of the reason these girls are getting blackmailed are easily preventable, and it's like hard to feel sorry for people who kind of fuck their own lives up. That sounds stupid. I mean, like Emily, it's not her fault that she likes women, obviously, but the other girls, I'm just like, maybe if you didn't sleep with your brother's boyfriend, or maybe if you didn't sleep with your teacher, or maybe if you didn't shoplift, like these are easily avoidable issues, y'all dumbasses, and that's that. So I mean, I do like the cliffhanger this ended on. They found Allison's body, but they're still getting blackmailed by someone who is kind of claiming to be Allison, so I guess that's intriguing. The story itself is not really that bad, but when you actually stop to look at the individual pieces, the characters, and their motivations, it is worrisome, especially for high school aged people, so I'm glad to be done with that. Okay, so I am 60% into The A-List by Zoey Dean, and I have to tell you guys, I'm liking this a lot more than any of the other books that I've read. That doesn't mean that it's without problem, which I'll get into later. So let me tell you about the plot first. So the book is about a girl named Anna Percy, who's from the Upper East Side, super wealthy, kind of a Blair Waldorf type. She's like a little bit stick up her ass, but nice girl, very smart. And she is gonna go live with her dad and intern at a literary agency in LA. On the way over, on the plane, Anna gets a little bit drunk because her seatmate is being just kind of gross and is all up in her face, and she drinks and whatever. This guy ends up saving her and is like, hey, like, you want to sit by me instead? He's super cute. He's a freshman at Princeton, and they kind of end up like hooking up the bathroom, and he ends up inviting Anna to this like A-list celebrity wedding the same night. It is New Year's Eve. That's basically what the book is. It's about this one night getting to know our main characters. It's a series, obviously. Yeah, honestly, like, it's just fun. It reads definitely like a television show, but it is very succinctly written, and I like that you get up front pretty much everybody's insecurities and understand why people behave the way that they do. It's good. Like, I'm definitely enjoying this. It is, you know, kind of vapid and like catty, but that's kind of like all of these books, I guess, but I'm having a really good time reading it. I'm gonna get into some of the issues that I have with it pretty quickly here. There is a little bit of fat shaming / fat phobia, and I say that it's actually not fat shaming. One of our characters, who is the daughter of the person getting married, so basically it's Anna versus like these 3 girls who are best friends. They're all kind of competing for this one guy's attention, which is like, is he really the best fucking guy that you guys have access to? I don't know. His name's Ben. He's the guy on the plane. So that's kind of how she like meets people, makes friends, and or like makes enemies, because she's with Ben and it's like, who's the new girl? One of the girls. Her name is Sam. She, like I said, is the daughter of the guy that's getting married, who's this like famous director. She has been fat all her life, and the thing is, she's not even fat. I think she was fat previously, but she has a lot of body dysmorphia. I think it's even mentioned in the book that her doctor tells her, you have body dysmorphia, and like, let's work through this. You can tell that she's not really internalizing any of the things that she's learning. Like, she definitely hates herself, and from what I can tell, most of the other characters around her don't really shame her for her weight. Anna definitely doesn't at all. Yeah, I mean, it's like a definite improvement over the other books. That's for fucking sure. But there is obviously a lot of girl hate, which, like, when it's bullying and like gossipy mean girl stuff, like, it's gonna be girl hate. Like, that's kind of the theme of this video, is girl hate. This one I think is particularly bad because, like I said, they're all fighting over the same guy, and it's like everybody's secretly in love with him but isn't willing to like be honest with their other friend about it, so like they all just end up competing for this dude. It's pretty silly, and there's like some kind of catty stuff that ends up happening at the wedding so they can get closer to Ben. I'm like enjoying the way it's written. I like the way that I'm getting an inside look into like LA and that kind of shit. It's like fun. It's fun to read about. I'm rambling at this point, but I'm gonna go ahead and finish it up. I don't really know where the book's going in terms of plot. Like, there isn't a whole lot. I think it's just gonna end at the stroke of midnight, but like, I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so I'm officially done with the A-List and this video. So let me wrap up my thoughts. It ended up being exactly as I had described previously. Nothing kind of crazy happened. I think the only like plot twist was that Anna Lisa ended up not getting the internship, kind of fell through, so now she has to attend Beverly Hills High School with all of these mean girls. So there's that. Also, the guy that she attended that party with, or I guess wedding, Ben, he ended up leaving her alone on a boat. Apparently he had a good excuse for, but that made things interesting. So who knows what their relationship will be like in the next book. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I like that that was a lot less problematic than some of the other things that I've read. And I feel weird, I'd say, even calling these books problematic, because they have an intent, right? And it's not to be this perfect example of how you should treat others. These books are supposed to be sort of escapist and fun and kind of stupid fodder. I mean, like, we all love Gossip Girl and shows like that, and we can all admit that, like, they're not perfect, they're just fun. And that's kind of what this video and experience reading these books has been. Like, I've had a really good time reading them, and I definitely remember why I enjoyed these so much. Have they shaped me into a cold, stubborn high school bully? I don't know, you can answer that for yourself. No, but really, I think these books were just fun for me. Like, they were fun to read in the summer by the pool. My life was nothing like any of these books growing up. Like, I was not a bully in school. I lived a very fucking normal life, and these were just like fun escapist things, you know? I feel like, again, everybody wants to have that experience of going to a boarding school and like getting in with the cool crowd. I think it speaks to the part of all of us that just wants to be liked. I know that sounds kind of silly. I shouldn't be waxing poetic about these books, but you know, I had a fun time, and I hope you guys kind of enjoyed watching this. I know this wasn't my most exciting vlog, but I definitely wanted to revisit some of my old faves. And did they all hold up? No. I would say probably my favorite of all of these is the A-List, which sounds weird because that's probably the one that I remembered the least, but I really enjoyed that one. I'd say a close second would be the Clique, you know, despite some of the like fatphobia. The other three, take them or leave them, but yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I have some more serious I Read Vibe content coming soon. I might be reading some low-rated books. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much, and until next time.